Hello and welcome. My name is Emily. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, I am the supervisor of OC Read. OC Read is the literacy division of OC Public Libraries. So we provide free reading and writing tutoring and programming to adults in Orange County. One such program is the event that you are attending tonight. So currently, 23% of adults in Orange County are considered to have low or at-risk literacy skills, meaning that their reading abilities fall below what is needed to easily navigate daily life and work. The impact of low literacy touches every part of a person's life, and there is no better person to speak to that experience than an adult literacy learner. Our speaker tonight is Oliver James, a member of the Orange County community who went viral by live streaming his journey of teaching himself to read. His story has inspired countless people across the country and has led to interviews with Good Morning America, The Jonathan Hudson Show, NPR, and many others. In 2023, he was awarded the National Literacy Honors Award by the Barbara Bush Foundation for his advocacy work and the light he has shed on literacy. Today, Oliver speaks to schools, conferences, and educators about the importance of literacy, the challenges of learning as an adult, and the deep personal growth that comes with it. So without further ado, please help me in welcoming motivational speaker and online sensation, Oliver James.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm feeling like this is better, right? Okay, cool. So thank you all for being here. That was a great intro. Thank you. I want to ask, has anybody heard my story already? Because that's always great. Okay, it's always great when a lot of people haven't heard it. Okay. All right. So anybody ever been in special education here or teach in special ed? Teach? Been in? Okay, cool. So maybe some of you might have, a connection to my story. But I want to tell you, in the middle of me talking, whatever I'm talking about, any topic, it is very important that you ask questions. Because sometimes I tell people, especially with my story, you save the questions to the end and everyone asks the same 10 questions in different ways. But it's better if we ask it through it, because then you can hear it and then it might just go, oh, I was going to ask that. I'm not going to ask that at the end. And then we end up with a couple new questions. That happens so many times. At the end, everyone has the same question in like a row. But my name is Oliver. Like I said, I'm 37 years old. And about, 5 years ago, I started teaching myself to read on social media. All right. I decided to make a big move, a big change from my hometown. And I wanted to pretty much like get a little bit more independent, work on my reading skills, work on my fitness skills at the time. I don't do any fitness anymore. Reading got in the way, and being honest, and other things. But at the time, I wanted to move away. I wanted to try some stuff. I wanted to get more in shape and get my mind a little bit more in shape. So I moved out to Orange County and I started training and teaching myself to read. In the beginning, I was teaching myself. It was really wild. I was on the outside, I was just on the road. I was just at the beach sometimes reading and working out at the same time, trying to build up my clients and learn to read. So a lot of my early videos when I used to read online, it was me doing an exercise, like a plank or like a handstand or something like that, because I was mixing it in with my reading. Go ahead.
What hometown were you from?
See, I told you. I'm from Lehigh Valley area, so it's Pennsylvania, Allentown, Bethlehem, East Eden area. Yeah, that's where I was.
And one other little question, but it's a big question.
Please.
When you say you didn't know how to read, were you not taught in school?
Yeah, which is great. See, that's why I love when people ask questions, because it gets us right. Usually people are right on the topic. But yeah, so the reason why I moved out here was because I wanted to pursue my reading and get better at reading. When I was young, I was placed in special education, and I was putting a behavioral, ordinance, I think it was at the time, I can't remember, but class. So it was focused on behavior. There was no education inquired to our teaching. It was just teaching us how to behave, how to which we were talking about earlier, I have a lot of letters. I tell people this all the time, have the whole alphabet, OCD, PTSD, anxiety, depression, MTV, VH1.
You had all those?
I still have them. They just keep piling up. Every time I go to the doctor, they give me a new letter. But go ahead.
How old were you when you were identified as special education?
This was second grade. Yep. So second grade is when it happened. They placed me into that special education program, and the teachers were allowed to physically harm us. So they used to beat me. So they would beat me, restrain me. It was tiers. There were levels to it.
Was this an emotionally disturbed classroom?
Yes, yeah, that's the word. I knew this was one of those words. I'm like, it's one of those, but I knew it was like behavioral health, like ordinance, emotionally disturbed, like something like that. I remember I was a kid and my parents didn't put too much effort into figuring all these things out. So I kind of got stuck like figuring it out as I got older.
So in my school district, there's very little separation between students who have dramatic needs and students who have an emotional disturbance. They would put them all together into they called it special day, as opposed to a general resource program.
Could you talk louder, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. I said in my school district, there were only 2 special education programs. One is for mildly in need students who went to the RSP program. And then others who had more severe needs were put into what we used to call special day. And everybody got put into special day. Kids with emotional disturbances, kids who were severely disabled, kids who had physical disabilities. So it sounds like that's where they put you. So would you say that your need was that dramatic in 2nd grade to qualify for that placement?
No, I think the issue was they just didn't know what to do with me completely. So they kind of it's kind of like, it reminds me now as an adult, it was like a circus. Like they kind of just like, yeah, that's what it kind of felt like, because everyone had like a superpower, like some kind of cool thing to us. I'm like, damn, you can do that? Like, that's super wild. That stuff do you get in trouble for? Like, but that's what it was. You know what I mean? I had a kid who used to tap on the desk and he used to make beats, all right? And he wouldn't stop. That's what he did. So they like would put gloves on him or something, like things like that. And I'm like, dang, that was such a gift. Like you had like a musical talent, but that's what I mean. Like
Were
we got
you a
placed in those.
troublemaker?
You know, no, and that's why I'm glad you asked that question, because it's really hard for a child to be something that they're not. Like, you would label me as a troublemaker, but I'm not a troublemaker. That's just what you labeled me as. Like, what you consider a troublemaker, someone else might consider something like exploring, or, you know, they might, something, you know, so like, in the environment that I was placed in, I was considered, you know, a disruption towards that. But that's, you know, today, I'm famous almost for it. Do you get what I'm saying? Like this,
You're what?
I'm almost famous for the stuff that I got kicked out of school for and got in trouble for when I was younger. Just speaking out loud, you know, voicing my opinion, having a whole bunch of energy.
Did you ever have your mother or father read to you?
No.
Ever?
No.
Did you ever see them reading the newspaper, a book,
Nope.
anything?
No, never.
So-
But I've never even seen a book in my house at the time. When I was
I'm
growing up.
sorry?
I've never even seen a book in my house when I was growing up. Yeah.
Would you reckon, I'm sure a 2nd grader wouldn't realize that he's supposed to be read to if he never has been.
Mhm.
But was this a rural location? Because I find it amazing that even in Pennsylvania, I mean, not that it's lonely or anything, but that they would still be hitting kids that recently, because I don't think that, I think you would be,
They still hit in Texas.
get in trouble
Yeah.
as a teacher if you hit someone.
Depends on the state you live in.
Yeah,
It's
but
still
in
allowed.
California, if
Yeah.
anyone found out, you would
Yeah.
be in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they do it anymore, but that's what they did when we were there. When we were kids, I didn't even know, honestly, until I was an adult, I didn't find out that it was wrong until I was an adult. Once I became an adult, I was like, oh crap. Like, I thought when I was a kid that I was an adult. So I couldn't really like grasp. Like, I would have these situations with the teacher, and like a lot of people might think like, why didn't you tell, or something like that. But I'm like, but I thought I was battling with another like enemy. So to me, it wasn't like, I didn't think I was being abused or anything. I thought I was just like, okay, like I'm gonna act a certain way. He doesn't want me to act. More than likely, he might choke me, but if he has to catch me first, so I might run, maybe, you know. So I'm battling like it's like normal. So I'm like, okay, he's gonna get upset. I'm gonna take off down the hall. I'm gonna run out to school, and that's what I would do. I would just take off, run out to school, and I would get like tackled by like 4 men or something halfway down the block or something. Like,
Why did you decide to come to California, and how long ago did you do that?
that was about 5 years ago. It's kind of cool. I started learning to read. My partner, she bought me a book for Christmas. No one ever bought me a book. So I didn't understand the gift. The gift that she gave me was kind of like a little standoffish because I was like, I didn't understand that. Like, she didn't know. Well, obviously she knew that I had issues because, we communicated. So she knew, but she didn't really like dive into it. She just was like, I just hear you talk about quotes a lot. So I bought you a quote book. So she told me that and I was like, oh crap. I didn't even know there was a such thing. Like, I'm like, there's quote books? I thought they were all on YouTube because that's what I was watching them at. So she's like, no, like you can read that. And I was like, nah, I can't really do that. Like, that's going to be really hard. And she was like, well, I'll read it to you. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, this was so new. Like, no one's ever read to me. No one's ever bought me a book. So I was just like, this is so weird. I'm like, whatever, go ahead. You want to read to me? I was so shaken up because I was like, I felt like a kid because I was like, all right, well, this kind of works though. Like, can you read another one? And she would just like read another one. I was like, wow, that's pretty dope. And then I was like, all right, well, I'm going to try it. So then I would read it and she'd be like, yeah. And I would just like focus on that same quote. So then I would exercise to that quote. So I would wake up like in the morning and I would read the quote, do 5 push-ups, read the quote again, do 5 push-ups, read that same quote, do 5. And that's what I would do. And then after that, I would move on to another quote. That book took me like 2 years to read. And then like now I read it like probably in 5 minutes. So it's just kind of cool though. Yeah. Thank you for the question. Anybody else have any more questions?
Did you have brothers or sisters?
Yep. I have a brother and 2 sisters.
Did they care anything about reading?
Yes, a lot actually, but especially my middle sister. She used to always try to teach me to read as a kid, but we were kids. So that was going to be hard, for a kid to teach another kid. Mm-hmm. Like our attention span was like, was really short. So even though she would like get into reading out of nowhere, she would, something would sidetrack her in like 5 minutes. But she also didn't know how to teach. So she would just like grab a book and she would just like read to herself, like something like that. And then she'd be like, you need to read some of this. And I'm like, I remember being a kid and I'm like, I couldn't explain that. I was like, I can't do what you're doing. I need someone to help me do it. And she was a kid. She couldn't explain that. She was just like eager to see me do something she already knew how to do. So yeah.
Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
Good.
Do you know what grade they start reading in?
Okay. Yeah. You know what? That's a good question because I don't know the answer to that. I didn't start reading until I was 32. So I don't know the reading age.
I went to school as like first grade.
Yeah.
Actually, it's usually parents read to their kid and that's how they start.
They,
Well, I'm talking
they
about.
pushed it up to kindergarten now. Or pushed it back.
Yeah.
So you should be somewhat literate by first grade, if not.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not learning in first grade. You should
It's
know.
not teaching you the letters and the sounds in
Yeah.
kindergarten.
Yeah, the later they wait to teach, I've now just started stumbling upon like vowels, consonants. Well, I learned how to read through sight. So I didn't learn how to read through that's what that is, phonics.
I'm a big proponent of that you don't have to be a certain kind of brain to learn one way or the other. You can learn numerous ways. You don't need phonics.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
You have to understand phonics.
I would say this, and it's good now that I'm starting to, it's good, you know what? It's really good the fact that I've learned how to read through sight, and now I'm learning through phonics. So I have a reading specialist now that I work with like 2 hours a day, mostly 5 days a week, and sometimes I do it online, like most of the time I do. And I try to push it out there for people to see like it's not easy, because there's a lot that goes on to it. So I can go even in on some of the things that, that have happened during working with the specialist, which is great because, like I said, I learned to read through sight. I learned to read through voice text. So a lot of my reading came from seeing a word. Because I can speak English, it was much easier for me to learn through sight, because if I say something, I can match it. It was like red and red, blue and blue. It's not hard. You can see those are the same color, right? So if I said what and it came up, if I seen what again, I remembered it like a color. So I'm like, okay, this is what? Like, okay, I know what because I can say it. Like I know because I can say it. So like words I can say, I could read. It was great. I learned it. But then you got to stuff that I couldn't even say. So I was like, that like changes everything. So like it only allowed me to get to like a 5th grade reading level with sight. Now learning phonics, it's so great, but it's very it's not complex, if that's the word, right? So it's very it's like a puzzle. So to me, I'm starting to learn that like the way of learning through phonics doesn't make you just a sight reader, right? You become a sight seer, right? So like you
Sound out words that you have no idea what they mean.
But hold on, but this is why we're here. You're speaking about it with words. It also applies to life. So if you're teaching someone through sight, monkey see, monkey do. When you're teaching, when you're teaching someone through seeing, you get to have a view of your own. So I think it's really important that people do learn phonics, because that puzzle is different for everyone, right? But it's the same puzzle that you're all putting together. But I could speak this in so many codes and you can be like, dang, that's kind of like life. I'm like, yes, we all have the same thing. It's the same puzzle. We're all putting together the same puzzle of life, right? Trying to figure out why we're floating on this blue planet in space, right? It's the same thing with phonics. When you start to learn phonics, you're like, oh my gosh, like when I caught the understanding of phonics, right? Just the other day I had like a breakthrough with it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is powerful. I started to realize, I'm like, okay, so communication, by picking up on phonics, I was able to understand that communication is complicated. You tell that to a person who only sees with sight, like they only understand the word that's coming out of your mouth because they've seen it before. So they're like, oh, complicated, I understand that. But when you teach it in a way where they can see it through it, now they get to understand that, okay, so in life, I'm having an argument with you. I'm realizing that this argument can't go anywhere because both of us do not have the verbal capacity in our brain to be able to work this out. Even if we wanted to, we can't do it yet because we haven't learned how to work this type of thing out. We don't know. But working with phonics allowed me to see that I'm like, okay, so when I'm in the middle of an argument, I'm a part of it? It's like, yeah, you're a part of the argument. Why don't you just stop? And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, damn, I never thought about me stopping. I thought I had to respond because someone's yelling at me. It's like, no, you stop, walk away, and understand that I walked away because I don't have an answer. I just have an argument back with you. I don't have no answer. There's no way of winning this conversation, or there's no way, you know what I mean? Like, that I was able to see that with phonics. I was able to see like, oh my gosh, like sounding out this word allows me to understand not just this word, but every single word that has ER or OW. And you're like, yes. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I didn't know that. Like, I had no idea that you don't have to remember it. You can see through them all. Like, as you're looking at it, you can see like, does that make sense in any way? That's what I started to witness. I had no understanding of any of that until I started to understand.
Brain works a different way.
Yes.
Figure it out.
Yep. So that was the difference. That's why I said it's really good that I probably did learn through sight first, like just learning by seeing. Once I learned phonics, I started to understand. I'm like, oh, there's a huge difference between learning through sight and learning through phonics, because the way that your brain has to, like, look deeper into the complicity, is that the word I would use, right? I'm trying to use bigger words in that sentence. Like, it's complicated, but you're able to see it. You're able to see all the complicated parts. Like that takes your reading level probably from like a basic low 4th, 5th, 6th grade to like, scientists, like you can go far with it. You're like, oh my gosh, like I can take this and create rocket ships now and do something. Like, it's like, yeah, dude, like you have a more way of breaking things down. And I can see that now with reading, like through phonics. It's totally different. But again, I'm not gonna act like I know the way that someone should read. I'm just saying that phonics is a much better way to teach someone. Than it's harder, but it's more beneficial for human existence. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, question. Sorry.
So how did you navigate your life up to 32? Like just basic going, driving, reading signs, bank accounts, things like that. How did you navigate it without reading?
Well, sometimes these are the hard things, but you learn how to manage through behaviors that you've witnessed. So if there's something that I didn't know how to do, I lied. If I needed it really bad and I didn't know how to get it, I cheated. You know, you use that one thing that you're like, well, I do know how to steal. I do know how to cheat. I do know how to lie. I do know how to manipulate. Those things don't require learning how to read. Those things just require being around ignorant people. And I was like, shit, I know a bunch of ignorant people who get things without doing it the right way. So you do things the wrong way and hope to get by. Like, does that make sense? So everything is like that. Everything comes with some type of cheat, some type of little thing that I'm going to do to be able to get by. It doesn't matter what it is.
So did you learn how to drive, or do you?
I did, by stealing my mom's car and driving it in the middle of the night. And yeah, and yep. So you know what I'm saying? Like, these are the things I'm like, I don't know the right way to do something, but I'm going to learn this thing. So I just would steal her car in the middle of the night and I would drive it around at like 12 years old. Huh? Yeah. Yep. So I taught myself how to drive, and that's how I pretty much was able to drive. So when it came to like getting my license, I just memorized the test. So like my strategy would always fail like 7 to 8 times, right? After you fail so many times, you start to realize like you take the test audio and multiple choice, because when you struggle at reading, you can do that. And then I would memorize it. Like, I'm like, oh, all I need to do is get like a 60% off the memory part. Not that I know what any of these signs or the lanes are. I didn't know any of them. So much better of a driver now, because like I was just talking about this the other day. I drive around now and I read the place I'm going to. So I'm like, oh, in about like 5 miles, I'm going to make a right. I don't have to wait till I get there. And then the little GPS dude glitches. And now I'm driving 20 miles down the street because no one told me to make a right, you know, like, so sometimes like, and I'm like rerouting everywhere. Now I already know that I'm going to turn on like, you know, that street before I even get there, like in 10 minutes. So I'm like, oh, this is great. This is perfect. This is so much better. Yeah. It's so much easier. Like before I would have to memorize a lot of places I went to. So like there was a lot of Walmart and Target because those were very easy places to memorize. Now I can go to like, you know, like a Michael's or something, looking for some specific thing, you know, like I can go to a place that I'm like, I would have just went to Walmart or Target because I knew what those things were. Now I can actually like look at Michael's, look it up online, see what they do, you know, like what they sell, what they have, and know that that's a store I might want to go to for some type of arts and crafts instead of just running to Walmart.
I just realized when you were talking about it that if there are a lower socioeconomic group of people and they couldn't read, they couldn't do things to get along in the world.
I don't think that's if, by the way. But
What?
it's not if.
Oh, okay. They couldn't get along in the world if they stayed being, I'll call it ignorant, okay? It's not a pretty word, but if they were ignorant of how to find a Michael's rather than just a Walmart, that would keep people down.
100%, yeah.
I never thought about how a person, even if they have been down, if they are educated, can come out of that socioeconomic level.
Yeah, that's why I'm here. So it's like, not supposed to be, but I'm here. So yeah, that's exactly how it is, yeah.
Do you remember how old you were when you became aware, like really aware that you struggled with reading? And kind of piggybacking on this woman's question about your coping skills out in the world, what were those coping skills while you were in school and going through?
Well, the first question, what's the first one? I always forget, there's too many for my brain.
Do you remember how old you were when you became aware that?
Yeah, I was aware of it. I got suspended from school about first grade, going into the end of first grade. And I remember I was out of school for a little bit. I came back and then school ended. It was summer. When I came back the next year, I remember like I couldn't do something in class. So like I started acting out and then I got in some trouble again and then they suspended me again. I remember I got suspended again. And I kind of wanted that because it happened the first year. So I was like, oh, I can do that suspension thing that they did to me. So I was like, cool, I'm gonna do that, get that thing back. I got suspended again and I realized I'm like, okay, I can't keep doing this. This is like trouble. But when I came back, that's when I realized I was like, oh, like immediately I had like, damn it, like Johnny knows 1 + 1 and what's that thing he knows? And I'm like super curious because I'm like, you know, it's like seeing a kid who learns how to ride a bike before you or swim before you. And you're like, man, I want to learn that too. And you start trying, like, it doesn't matter what it is. But I remember seeing that I'm like, damn, I can't learn this. Like, this is not like stuff that my friends are going to do when we get out. They're not going to go to the playground and start doing math. So I was like, or, you know, they're going to go do the stuff we know how to do, play basketball, swings, running, tag. So I was like, I know how to do that already. But this one thing I didn't know how to explain because they also weren't at the level where they could teach. They were still in the learning stage. So I could tell right when I was like second grade, I can tell it was like immediately. Most kids and most people, like any kid who struggles with reading or anything, they know. Every single one of them. They're just becoming really good at masking or hiding it or not showing it to someone. But every single one of them know that they struggle with reading. Yeah. And then the older they get, the more embarrassed they're going to be about talking about it. But I'm hoping that me like broadcasting this all through like the world will help people be like, that's like old. Like no one cares that you can't read. Like they don't have a stigma by the time the kids today get older. So, yeah. And who else had a question? Oh, and the second question you said.
Yeah, like this, what were those masking coping mechanisms while you were going through school?
Well, usually they're outbursts, like behavior. So you're going to have like a kid who's like, when there's something that's going on with like someone needs to be paying attention, that person might be not paying attention. That person might want to go to the bathroom or put their head down or act like they're sleeping or make noise or talk to people or try to, you know, like they're going to make like some type of thing where they can, because it's really hard for a kid, like unless you're the kind of kid who can like just disassociate from reality in general, which that would probably end up being like some type of depressive disorder. I wasn't depressed. That was a difference. I just didn't want to be in school, but I wasn't depressed. But that kid can disassociate him or herself. And that's the kind of kid you can usually see like what's wrong. He doesn't talk to anyone. He stays himself. That's like a rare commodity like in school. Usually if you have a kid who's like just struggles in class, they're gonna show it through behavior patterns. It's just too hard for them to be disassociated. Like it's already bothering them to have other kids do things that they can't do. So they're gonna figure out something they know how to do. If they know how to make a disruption, they're like, okay, well, I wanna make kids laugh because that's much better than kids just knowing everything that I don't. So I'm gonna do something so all the kids laugh and then the teacher goes, settle down. You know, it's like something like that. You're like, okay, something on me for a little bit. I got something that worked for me for a couple minutes. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, you can go.
You mentioned, I like the word that you used, but you met with a reading, I'm gonna use the word coach. I didn't.
Yeah, same kind of thing. A specialist. So they're like,
And how did you find this person and what are you guys doing yourself?
Oh, they found me on social media. So once I started to become more popular on social media and build up a following, they found me and they came and asked me if I would like some help. It's called the Reading Foundation, and they pretty much just focus on teaching kids and adults how to read. So they're teaching me through phonics. It has to be phonics because I'm like, I don't know the stuff that they're teaching me. But they did say like, they could tell immediately. They were like, this is going to be the difference between what you've taught yourself and what we're going to teach you. And immediately I can see now. Now I'm sitting back like, oh my gosh, like it's so painful now to know that I'm like, this is like, it's like I'm restarting reading all over again, even though I know how to read, which is wild. Yeah.
I have two questions.
Yeah.
The first one was related to an earlier topic. I wanted to ask how your literacy levels impacted your journey through college or employment, if it's applicable for you.
And what is that word you say? Endurance?
Employment.
Okay. So how did like my reading affect employment and college? Well, I answered the first one for I got fired a lot. That's I got really good.
How'd you even get the job?
Well, that's where my skills will come in. So like I became really good at masking. So like at the time, like this is really hard to put out, but at the time, like when I was in need of employment, at that time, I understand that like society has a thing for looks, right? So I started exercising. I got really thought I was really good looking. I thought anywhere I walk into, if there's a woman boss or some type of way, I'm getting that job. You don't have to worry about that. So I used that to my advantage. Immediately, as soon as you walk in the door, they're just like, I don't care if you can't read. I don't care what you can do. Just be here every day. Like, so I wanted to be that person. And I understood that. I was like, okay, well, I can get a job at any agency that has women in it, any kind of job that has like female bosses or anything like that. I would know how to kind of like work my way in some way. If it just be me going in there, just trying to, put myself out there as just like, I don't really know how to do anything, but maybe we can go on a date. So it's like, it didn't matter what it was, you figured something out, yeah.
Actually, even with men hiring you, when you are good looking,
100%.
it's easier to get a job.
Yeah, it was much easier with men than it even is with women. Women, I lasted longer because they understood. So like, women aren't dumb. Women are good at playing dumb for a long period of time, which men are not good at that at all. They're already dumb, like in their own way, and then they try to play like they're not dumb for a long period of time. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like that. That's just kind of how it goes. And I'm same way, I understand. But I caught that and I was just like, okay, like when I would work for women, I understand that women would take sympathy in my personal needs. Like they would understand that, oh, this isn't really who you are. Like this is a act, like for the good person that's inside. Like it's like, oh, you really want to actually do things with your life, and they can see it immediately. But because I was there trying, but they're like, you're terrible at this job. Like you're terrible at everything you do here. And I'm like, yeah. And if I didn't know how to do it, it was just like I was in school. I would just find something to do. I would go flirt with somebody or go, hey, I was that guy at the job. It was just like, he liked me there because I brought life to the place and made it feel more comfortable to come to every day. But I was not good at the job. You're just like, you're terrible. You're slow. You're late. You don't know how to put packages or anything on labels. You couldn't type nothing. You can't write nothing. Nothing. I couldn't do anything. So like I got fired a lot when I worked for men because I would run my same scam, but men were quick to leadership. So the only way I would be able to stay in that position is if I would take over leadership. And with jobs, like they would see like it's just like it was in school. A lot of the companies I would work for, if there was men I worked for, it wasn't hard for me to find all of their habitable things, all the things men have, their little things that they're weird about, right? And it wasn't hard for me to pick this out. Your drinking problem, your woman problem, your drug problem, you're just like, they all have one, something, somewhere. And then I would just attach myself to that problem. I would be the person who can go out at 2 a.m. with you and while you do things when you're married. I would be the person who goes over here and does this while you do, like I was able, so then it was much easier for them to be like, this is my guy. Like he knows the darkest parts of me and he doesn't tell anyone. He's so cool and he's down to hang out with me every day. Even though I was like hurting inside and I'm like, you're the worst person I've ever met. Like, why does this person, like what? But I'm like, damn it, I need this job. So it's like, you just figure those things out. And I enjoyed it. It was just like an undercover cop becoming an undercover and enjoying the dark life of an undercover. It's like, it's very similar.
Game.
Yeah, very much. It's life. It becomes a game. Yeah. That's why it's so complicated and so hard. It is. Your whole life is like that. It's never nothing real.
My guess is your IQ is very high.
Maybe.
Because to figure out the things that you needed to figure out, even if you got fired or just going through life, you had if you were an idiot, you couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, that's 100% true. I totally agree with you. It's a fight. So like, there's a lot of mistakes that were in there. I went to prison for 5 years. That was a hard one. I spent 5 years in federal prison. I didn't go there for, coloring books. Like you make mistakes. You make a crap ton of mistakes that you can't really even sometimes dig yourself out of. You gotta like have really great masking skills to be able to fit in. Like when I got out of prison, I mean, this is really hard to tell people stuff, but when I got out of prison, my first thing was to be a catch for a broken girl who had daddy issues. So I was like, as long as I look good, she's going to be broken enough to be able to say, hey, you look good. I don't care. You just got out of prison. You got no job. You can't do anything. You know, you barely can read. You can't do that. You're out all night. You're a cheater. But damn, you got a six pack. It's like, great. It's like, so it was perfect. I was looking for that girl when I got out of prison. I was like, that woman will put up with this broken person as long as I stay looking like this amazing person in Instagram pictures. Like, that's kind of how it became.
I would say you just had really excellent, I agree, very high intelligence and excellent survival skills.
Yeah, you have to. There's no other way. How are you supposed to make it in a world that requires you to read? Like, that's what I said. Like, people don't realize like how hard it is until, you know, you meet someone, you're just like, damn. And then I realized like, I didn't know this would be a story to people until like, I started talking to people and I'm like, you don't got this problem? They're like, no, man, we don't do that. I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, but you kind of keep it to yourself because you think something's wrong with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, you can read the room.
Yeah.
Or you can read. And that's a thing that they usually say women can do better than men.
Yeah.
But you could read, you know, what was going on with each different personality.
Yeah. Yeah. You become a lot more of an external observer, which is really hard because now I'm an internal observer now I focus more on my internal parts of me and growing myself. But for 32 years, I focused on everyone else's needs. If I knew it or not, I was catering to I was doing the same thing that electronics do to us. I was able to understand that as long as I stay this person in your life, you will always want to be my friend. You would always want to date me. You would always want to be this. Like, you're never going to want to get rid of me. I bring you that dopamine in your brain that is lacking. Like, I understood how to connect to that. Just like a phone. Like I said, you go and you start scrolling or doing, like, it's the same thing. It connects to that part of your brain that's lacking. I was able to do that. Yeah, pretty much. Well, no, I didn't fix anything. I was like a Band-Aid. Yeah.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
Elementary school. I've taught kindergarten, first, second, and third grade. And every year I have kids like you. I have kids whose parents never read to them, who often don't know the alphabet, don't know their sounds, and we work with them, pull small groups, put them in after-school programs, and quite often we're unsuccessful. Is there anything that you think your teachers could have done that would have encouraged you to learn to read?
Yeah. Sometimes these are hard questions, like, to answer because they're more complicated than just like a program or something that you can write out. Like, people are asking a question to something that is broken. Like, it's already broken. So like, when you're asking to, like, if there's something, there's nothing anyone can do because it's already broken. It's not designed to be right. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's designed to be broken. Like, that's exactly what it is. So like, the harder you work, the more it's gonna suck out of you. You'll hate even putting into it. It feels like you're just working backwards. That's exactly
But you were broken.
Yeah. We all are. But I was just really noticeable. Like, so it's like, yeah, like, I'll be 100% honest. Like, it's the only way any educator can help any student is if they help themselves. So like, it sounds wild. It might sound like a really woo-woo answer, but the better of a version of you, the more you're able to role model as an experience for the kids that are in your class who don't have, they don't have a role model. You get to role model like that experience for them because they don't even experience it through their sight. So a lot of times, like, I was experiencing the same energy I was putting out. So I was considered like a kid who was very hyperactive, disobedient, didn't follow rules, didn't listen to nobody. So they gave me somebody who would discipline me, try to make me follow rules, try to force things on me. It was like counterintuitive. Like, it's like,
And they put you in a class with all the other kids who are like you.
yeah. What I needed was somebody to be resilient and the opposite of what I was being. So if I'm loud and destructive, I needed somebody who understand how to role model peace, quiet, restraint. Like, that's the same energy I was getting from home. Why do you think I was that way in the first place? Like, obviously my mom is loud and destructive, my dad, and people like, in some way, that's not proper for this setting. You know, like, it's just not gonna fit. But that's the hard part as an educator, because like, that's something that you would have to know beyond teaching. Like, you would have to understand, like, if I get up and I'm in special ed and I chuck a chair through the window, can you congratulate me on how great I throw? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, but that's what changes that kid. That's what makes that kid go, well, you're not gonna yell at me, beat me, do nothing. Like, I did that so you can do this. And they're like, no, but you should try out for football. That kid immediately changes. He understands that there's a world beyond the world he's been experiencing all his life. He's like, so everyone's not reactive to me? He's like, no, that's just the environment that you're around. The things that, and then you get to see, you're just like, okay, so I can't get you upset. I can't change your behavior. It's like, no, my behavior is my behavior. Yours is yours. I'm not going to change my behavior because yours is bad. Like, I'm going to keep mine good. If you say F me, I'm going to say great curse word. Like, it's like, I'm going to stay happy still. Why do I have to be mad? Why do I have to say F you back? Like, why? Why do I have to be angry when you're already angry? You already brought anger to the party. Why can't I keep me the same way I was when I woke up out of bed and came here? But that wasn't like that for me. I was able to change every single adult around me. If I got angry, they got angry. If I yelled, they yelled back. If I was destructive, they were destructive too in some way. It matched me. It didn't come in a way where I was able to, like, now be an adult and sit back and be like, I don't have to do that no more. That was really painful. It was hard for me to get to that place where I'm like, I don't have to respond to you because you are upset. You know, like, if I'm driving in the street and someone cuts me off and flips me the finger, like, I could just go around them and act like they never existed. I could choose my battles. You know, I'm like, because if I sit here fighting with every single person, by the time I get to work, I'm gonna be miserable. So I'll choose mine. I'm like, I'm gonna choose the one that would fit me the best. But I didn't understand that, and because no one role modeled that around me when I was a kid. I was considered the kid who was completely opposite of every single kid, and you were treating me completely opposite of every single kid. None of those other kids got yelled at and smacked and all that because they already knew how to follow those kind of rules. They knew they had someone role model that in their parentinghood before they got here. That's what I mean. So, oh, good. Oh, well, go ahead. Go ahead.
When did you realize that you were learning to read, that you were actually learning to read? And what was it that pushed you ahead at that point to keep doing it? Because it is hard work.
I think when I first started learning to read when I was younger, and it was much harder then because I was doing the sight words with the old model of texting. So like when I was younger, my friends used to text for me. They would text girls for me, and we would drive around and stuff. They're texting girls and we're trying to like meet them at parks or whatever. But then after like a little bit of time, some of the girls that my friends would text that I was texting supposedly would end up meeting him at parks and stuff and hanging out. And I was just like, what the heck? I would show up and I'm like, what are y'all doing here? Like, and then it would click. I'm just like, but again, you're a kid. So you're like, I didn't know that was possible. I didn't know it was possible for you to meet someone who wanted to meet me first. And I'm like, huh, that was a quick thing that I had to put together. And I'm like, oh, he did that. I'm like, then you feel it. You're like, oh, okay. Like, all right, I don't want no one to do that to me. I don't want no one to just like, I liked her. She was nice and I wanted to meet her. I wanted to get to know her, but it already happened with him because to me, I'm thinking if you see someone, you like them, that's who you want. I didn't know like, oh, if you start communicating with somebody, they may be interested in a person who communicates more than a person they just seen. I didn't know that. So I'm like, what girls are interested in communicating? I'm like, man, I didn't even know that. Like that was another level. So I had to see it as like, oh, I can't, I'm not in my, I have to look good. Now I have to communicate. That's how I became a great talker. Because I swear, that's how I used to study movies and shows, all types of stuff. Like people would watch like Will Smith, I would watch Carlton. You know what I mean? Like I would like try to study like, cause I was like, no, I want to know how he speaks like them. How does he use his proper R's and stuff? Like at the time I couldn't do that. So I was like, I want to learn that. So I would practice like messing around. And then I learned like, I would go around a person who like, who was raised around like, say your family were like doctors or lawyers or something. And they spoke with their R's like and stuff. So I'm like, I would go and speak to them, and they'd be like, you speak really well. And I'm like, I'm like, okay. I'm like, I see this now. It was like a puzzle. I'm seeing, I'm like, okay, that became one of my gifts when I would go get jobs, because I was able to connect to people in a way where, like, if they were frat boy, hired, started his own company, I knew how to connect with him. If they were, pampered, want to be like his dad, super strict about work, like no excuses. I knew how to model that person. Like I knew how to, because I would watch so many movies and I would be able to see like, oh, he acts like this person in this movie. So he wants a friend in this way. And I would just act that out. And then you would find out, you'd be like, oh, super jock guy who's frat party dude who's now owns his own company, still loves doing keg stands and drinking beer at the local bar down the street. Like it was easy because I'm like, you're still keg dude from, like you ever meet guys, you're like, you're not the different guy. You just own this company now. So I was able to connect to those things.
Did you realize, like, could you take a legal pad and write down fraternity guy has now company, I'm gonna go where he is, and did you plan it?
No, I can't even spell that now, what you're talking about. Yeah, I couldn't spell any of that. I can't spell. So spell's worse than my writing.
What community resources would you recommend to increase literacy for social mobility?
It's wild, but libraries. There's nothing better than the library. Like I don't think people understand that, like, the library is literally like the richest bank in the entire world. Like, and it's empty. And I'm like, if people knew that these pages hold free money, like these places would be packed from wall to wall, but they don't understand that. But I'm like, there's so many, like now I can sit back and be like, I will never have to worry financially ever again in my life, because I know I can take a year and just read financial books and become financially stable. Like I understand I can do that if I needed to do it. Like I knew, I'm like, okay, for a year or two, I'll be poor, fine. But I'm just gonna read all these financial books for the next 2 years, and then I'm gonna do everything that it says, and I'm gonna be rich. So great, so see you in 2 years. It's that simple. But like, to me, it's that simple because I've been, that's one good thing about being deprived from it. So there's a hunger there. So I can understand, like, every single one of you can be millionaires. All you need to do is just read books about millionaires, then follow what they say, and you'll probably be a millionaire. It's 9 times out of 10, it's gonna happen. It's easy, very simple. But because you were raised with it, a part of your life, it's as if like you don't have a mind of your own. If you gave a person who never knew how to run or walk legs, they would take off. They would take off in any direction. They don't care how funny they would run. They wouldn't care how they look. They wouldn't care who said something. They wouldn't care who's this person. They wouldn't care if they failed. They wouldn't care if they failed 30,000 times while they were running. Because they never had the ability to run for that many years and you just gave them legs, they don't care what anybody has to say. That's the same thing with me and my reading. Like, I realized that I'm like, damn, how come no one knows that like 99% of your problems can be changed and fixed through a book? And I'm like, oh, it's because you've always had it. A lot of people already had it for so many years. You don't understand the value of it. It's like, you just don't understand what it can do for your life in 2 years. Like, you don't, like, just by studying it, it could change everything. But I can see now that I'm like, I know why I have that mindset, because it's just like, it's brand new. It's something you've already been doing for so long. It's a part of you, like breathing. You don't understand how amazing it is to breathe until maybe one day you stop breathing for a couple seconds. Then you would probably take breathing very serious if you got a chance to breathe again. It's very similar to that. Like so there's no difference in my brain. I was deprived from reading for 32 years, and now I'm sitting around like I'm like a reading advocate. I run around like wearing reading shirts. I'm like, and I don't care if people think I'm weird, this, that, because I'm like, you don't know how great this is? Like, do you understand? Like, and I'm like, I think many of you have forgotten, like, damn, this is great. If I wanted to do something and be something, I could just read about it. I didn't think about that. So I try to like open people's minds up for that.
How do you see yourself when you're 80 years old?
You know what's so wild? I don't ever think I'm gonna make it to 80.
Or even in the future, in 10 years and 30 years.
This might be a really wild answer and a really wild response, but I'll be seeing myself like realizing, this might sound funny, but realizing how much more dumb I become the more I learn. Like, if that makes sense. Like when I
People
couldn't,
say it all the time.
yeah, the more I
As they
learn,
get
I start to
older,
realize,
The more you learn.
they know less. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, it's, you know everything when you don't know nothing. You know everything, trust me. But once I started knowing and learning a few things and reading, I sometimes get depressed because I'm like, damn, like, we not any smarter than a damn ant. I'm like you start to realize that. You start to sit back and think, I'm like, I'm no smarter than an ant. An ant might be smarter than me. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I need some help. Like, you don't realize it. And when I start learning, I start to see like, dang, this sucks. Like, yeah, like, you know, I'll just do my best with it. Like, I start to realize I'm just going to do the best like I have with, you know, like understanding that I will never be able to learn as much as my brain can think. Like, I'm like, oh, now I can read and see like, wow. Even if I read every single book that every single person put out there and every single book in the world and knew every page that was in any book, I'll still just be at the level of what humanity is at right now. You know that there's like thousands of years that we can go further in thousands of years. So you get what I'm saying? Like, that's what I mean. But it's like understanding that you're like, okay, I'm understanding that cavemen were living their best life in caveman time because there was no other knowledge for them to Now I'm realizing like, damn, I'm in modern day caveman time compared to thousands of year caveman time. I'm like, that sucks. Why'd I have to be in this one? I want to be in the one where we figure out to fly or something. I'm like,
Have you ever heard of the name Tony Robbins?
Yeah. I've studied many of his speeches, like when I was watching YouTube's.
How
Tony
do
Robbins,
you
Zig Ziglar, all of them.
compare? And I know he has his people walk on coals or whatever, but how do you see yourself in comparison to him? I know he doesn't do reading.
Well, I don't know. I never compare myself to anyone. So it's hard for me to compare myself to anybody. I barely know how to compare myself to myself. So it's like, yeah, it's really hard. Like, I'm struggling with just being myself sometimes. Like, it's hard as hell. So like, to compare myself to somebody, that would be a whole nother journey that would be a whole nother lifetime. Like, it's already too hard to understand my own issues I have going on and the things I do. Yeah.
So now that you are reading, what are you enjoying reading about?
Well, fantasy fiction but I'm still in like the very innocence of books. So like my favorite books, Charlotte's Web, Four Agreements, Holes, The Giver, The Alchemist. Those are my kind of like top 5 books right now. And I love those, especially The Giver. The Giver is one of my favorite books. Yeah, I would say the probably top book right there. Yeah, I love it. It's such a great book. It's great that you have a lot of questions too. That's why I tell people to ask the questions, because if not, none of this, it ends up being like the same 20 instead of all these great questions. That's why I said, go ahead, please.
With all the chaos in your childhood, being in prison, learning how to read, like, how did you keep your spirit fueled through that? Like, just your own, like, knowing that you could do it, knowing that you could do something in this world, and figuring out what that was, and then being here, like, what kept that young spirit, that middle-aged spirit to where you are now, just like?
Well, you know, it sounds wild, but, you know, the more and more now that I start to, like, answer more questions, fear. Fear is the thing that keeps me going. Like, it's the one thing that wants to stop me, right, from everything that I do in my life. So I just do it anyways with it. So I've been doing that my whole life. Like, it's as if I was born. And I think every single person in here, if you decide to come into this world, you obviously came here to test the limits of fear in some way, shape, or form. So like, I try to look at fear as the same as like motivation and happiness. Like, I feel completely uncomfortable, even right now, talking to you right this moment. Like, it's never off. And I operate from that state. So I just say, okay, if it's not going to turn off, and I mean, it's a little out there, but like, when I'm sleeping, sometimes I don't think I'm going to wake up, but then I wake up. So then I sit there and I go, okay, well, crap. Like, I thought I wasn't going to wake up. Now I'm up and I'm like, so I guess I'll do something with this again, anxiety and depression and all this stuff that's going on in me. I'm going to do something with it. I'm going to get up and go say hi to someone. Like, it's just like, even though I didn't want to say hi to them, like, that's what it is. It's like operating off of that energy of fear constantly. Like, yeah. That's the same thing. Like I said, when I go to sleep, I do the same thing. I sometimes lay in there. If people have sleeping problems, if anybody does, you're laying there and you're like, thoughts are going all the same thing. I'm like, okay, scared when I'm going to sleep. So I'm like, all right, let's get, that sucks. But that's why, like, I still go to sleep. I still be like, all right, we're going to do it anyways. I don't care. I'll lay here until I wake up. Then I wake up and I'm like, gosh, it's like a cycle. I'm like, damn it, it's never going to stop. But from that moment right there, from that place, I just keep doing it. Keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. And for some reason, I don't know, it's like working out. It never gets lighter. You just get better at carrying it.
I know it's time to quit, but do you know how many very successful, famous people struggled with they couldn't read, they might be called dyslexic. Do you know the governor of this state, who possibly, is very famous and successful, is dyslexic, and 2 of his kids?
I didn't know that. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
He can't. He memorizes all his speeches because he
Yeah,
can't.
same here. Yeah.
He can't read them.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Yeah. Yeah, but most of my speeches I have memorized before I come. Like, when they're library speeches and stuff, I usually, like, it's funny you say that because I don't know if people have this. Like, it's normal to me. So I understand, like, through my speeches, right? So I can't write speeches. I'm terrible at it. It'll throw me completely off. So I go into speeches with a format of where I'm at. So if I could ask a few questions of where we're at, I can understand, like, I already know what to give the audience before you use, like, I understand questions is going to be great here. I understand, like, free conversation is going to be great here, open, because I understand it's going to be a bunch of people who have minds who are going to want to explore questions. But I might go somewhere where I understand that some people don't want to talk. I know they're not going to want to talk. So I'm like, okay, I know the speech and the things I have to talk about in this topic to get them to want to talk. And I'll usually be like, the success from that is having one person say something. Then I'm like, okay, cool. That means I won. I understood. I'm like, okay, I won this room. This room was a good one. Because this room, after I understand that the person's going to come up to me and say, wow, those people, no one ever asks questions. You had like 1 or 2 people ask questions. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I knew it. Like, I knew this was a kind of room that they're like, usually they just come, they get the thing, they go, and I'm like, but they asked like 2 or 3 people ask questions. And that's when I realized. I'm like, so I learned to read the room by a few questions I ask maybe before I start, and then get going from there. Yeah, and then that's it. Or do you have one last question?
Yeah.
Because I know he said he had one, but I didn't know if he was someone. Yeah, if he had a question.
Do you ever plan to think about teaching other people to read in the future?
Yeah, I thought of that, but that's like one of those things that's like operating off the fear. Like my mind understands it goes into that place that it's like, dang, like everything you've ever operated off of with that fear, you've made come true. Like you've somehow, some way, I don't know how you do it, but you made it come true. And I've thought about that. I started thinking, I'm like, I don't want to do teaching because I need to be taught. So I feel like a lack of like knowledge in it. Like I'm scared of it. I'm scared of like, what if I become like my teacher? It's like basically like a father becoming a dad. It's like, when you become one and you do your thing, you end up being an amazing dad. But for the ones who have like a real big fear of it, it's like, dang, like what if I do this? Or what if I do what my dad did to me? What if I don't take care of him? Or what if I leave? Because you feel those like same fears. So like in my mind, I'm starting to think back like, okay, college is first. And I've talked about wanting to be like a professor in a college. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll strive for that. And if I do, then I'll probably end up being a professor in college somehow, which would be that'll be like something to write about. That'll be something to like leave behind for everything. That'll be amazing. Yeah. That's it.
Well, thank you so much, Oliver.
Thank you. Thank you.